Hey guys, Jimmy from Boxing Life, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Venum Impact boxing gloves. And yeah, these probably are one of my favourite I've got off Venum so far. I quite like just the overall design. Yeah, they're just a really good all-round glove compared to maybe some of the others that you'll see online. Now, just to start off, if you don't know who Venum are a mixed martial arts brand. They cover a whole variety of different boxing equipment, MMA equipment. They're actual sponsors of the UFC now in terms of all the gear they wear. You know, they're a well-known brand now, so their gloves are becoming more popular because of that. And the Venum Impacts are definitely one of the most popular, and definitely people, when they're considering a Venum glove to start off with, this is one of the go-to gloves people consider. So in terms of the Impacts themselves, these have actually been around for a few years now, and they've kind of changed the design slightly. This is a slightly newer model of them. I quite like the design. It's almost like it's like a velvet on this synthetic, like on this leather. And yeah, they've added some cool new designs on it. I think just to keep things fresh. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe upgrade this glove soon, just because it is a few years. But that's the good thing about boxing gloves; they don't age that quickly. So in terms of my experience using these, I've really enjoyed them. I think these are probably better for boxers rather than mixed martial artists. I feel like there's more padding in the strike area and not as much around the other areas of the glove. It's very similar to the Elite glove, which I've reviewed before in this channel. And if I'm being honest, I prefer the Impacts, and it's weird because they're actually a cheaper glove as well than the Elites. And just overall, my experience so far has been very positive with this, and I think it's just more suited towards boxers rather than mixed martial artists, in my opinion. In terms of the material they've used for it, it's a synthetic leather. Obviously that might put some people off, but I actually think they've done a better job with this than the Elites. It's been handcrafted a lot better, and I feel it's a bit tighter on the glove rather than the Elite gloves. It's definitely they've used a good synthetic leather in this one, in my opinion. And then obviously the impact zone is the key area where you'll be striking, where you'll be punching things like the heavy bag or sparring, and they've used a triple density foam. And it just, for me, it just feels great. If your hand feels very protected when you're using it, and that's what you want when you're striking. And I really like what they've done with this glove in terms of the strike zone. So now guys, I'll give you a bit of a closer look up just so you can see the finer detail of the glove, and hopefully that can give you a better picture of what it's actually like. So guys, here's just a bit of a closer look up at the gloves, and as you can see, it's got the Venum logo on the top of the glove. Quite like this look to it, and these kind of strike patterns as well. And you can kind of tell it's like the way they've put the leather in this, it almost looks like it's like a velvet, but it's not. It doesn't feel like that at all. It's just nice synthetic leather, I have to admit. Obviously the Venum print on the side, and yeah, this is the padding. It's a triple density foam, as I mentioned, and for me it just feels really good when you're striking. Feels great. As you can see, I have kind of used this a little bit, so it's grazed a bit just from hitting the bag and stuff like that, but it's very minor, and that happens to all gloves if I'm being honest. But that's just more because I think they put this weird kind of velvet thing look to the leather that it's kind of grazed a bit. And then looking at the palm of the hand, as you can see, the stitching's quite good. It's kind of got padding here, as it can be used for Muay Thai and kickboxing and stuff, so it just provides, even for boxing, for parrying punches or even kicks, you know, it gives you that protection there, which is good. And then obviously it's got some ventilation holes, which is handy, just to help air it out after you've been using it. It's quite thin, but it is good overall. It's kind of got a grip bar here, and the stitching's actually not too bad. There is a couple of inconsistencies with some loose stitching, but overall it's stayed pretty well together, I have to admit. And yeah, no, they've done a good job with that. In terms of the thumb area, I think it's a lot better than the Elite gloves, and it's attached, as you can see. here. It's not as much flexibility as some of the other Venum gloves, but I find this probably the most comfortable of them all, if I'm being honest. I don't know why, it just fits my hand pretty well. And then going on to the Velcro strap, it does kind of feel a bit stretchy, but that's the whole point, is so it can go around in this strap. And because of that, you can make it a lot tighter, and that just makes it a bit better in my opinion. As you can see, I got these in 14 ounce, and it's kind of like a plasticky kind of material here. So yeah, maybe they could have done a better job with the strapping, but I don't mind it, if I'm being honest. And then on the inside, they've continued using the leather material up, so you don't really get the nylon material, which is a bit deeper inside. You can kind of see there. It's kind of water resistant, and yeah, it feels pretty comfortable, I have to admit. So yeah guys, that's a bit of a closer look up at the Venum Impact gloves. So now that you've seen a bit of a closer look up at the Venum Impact gloves, I just want to go over some pros and cons before you make a decision whether to go for it or not. So in terms of the cons, I feel like you need to look after this glove. I'll leave an article in the description below how you can look after your gloves, and the reason for that is I just feel like with the synthetic leather and even just the nylon in the inside, you know, it's well crafted. It's quite thin in some areas, I have to admit, and I feel like if you weren't to look after them, they would just deteriorate quickly. You know, I've used these quite a bit now, and I always I look after all my gloves, make sure I air them out, use deodorizers, but that's just the one thing about this glove. There's some of the stitching isn't the bit, you know, it's kind of coming off in some areas, and yeah, you need to look after them. You know, obviously as a mass-produced glove, lots of people will have it, but if you want to keep it long term, make sure you're looking after it. Con number two, you can buy better gloves. There's definitely better gloves out than this. This is, you know, if you're in a tight budget, this is a really good option to go for. They've got some really cool design options, but why not just spend an extra 20-30 pounds, or even another 50 pounds, or if you're in like North America or another country, dollars, you know, you can definitely buy a better glove by spending that little bit more. But if you're in budget, this is a good glove to go for. You know, I maybe recommend you check out my Venum Giant Gloves review, where they actually use real leather, or maybe some of the other Venum boxing gloves. Another con is maybe I know some people don't really like the synthetic leather feel. This has a kind of weird, kind of velvety like feel to it. It's really strange what they've done with this, and it kind of comes with, it's like almost like a skin kind of like fade to it. I've used this a little bit, and it kind of grazes this kind of leather, so maybe just keep that in mind with the design option you buy. I kind of showed you that in the close-up before. It's kind of got some grazes, and I don't know if that's just because this type of leather they've put onto it. Now onto the pros, I definitely believe this is a better suited glove if you're just a boxer rather than the Elite glove. I'll maybe do a comparison review in the future, just comparing the two gloves side by side, but for me this is definitely a better suited glove for if you're just doing pure striking and boxing and not doing MMA. You can get it for that, but I just feel like the padding is just better around the impact zone, and that's what makes it better suited for boxers. For me personally, I've got quite big hands, and it just feels very snug in this glove, and a lot more comfortable. I've also got quite big thumbs, and it fits a lot better in the impacts rather than the Elite gloves. For some reason, I don't know if I just need to wear these in a bit more, but I'm really having to squeeze my thumb in this one for some reason. So, but if you've got normal sized thumbs, you know, I'm sure that won't be an issue. But for me, this one just feels a lot more cushioned and just a lot more roomy for my thumb instead of the Elite glove. I quite like how it fits within there. The other thing, I really like the design on this instead. I think their design options for the impacts are cool. There's like a camo version, there's like gold versions as well. It's just, yeah, I think they've done a good job, and I don't know, I just quite like this kind of like snake look, kind of velvety feel. It's kind of, it's almost like it's skin with the Venum branding. You know, like for example, I know I said I might do a comparison video, but it just looks a lot better than the Venum Elite gloves in my opinion. yeah, I just really prefer this over that. The other thing as well is I prefer the Velcro strap. It's just nice and secure compared to some of the other Venum gloves. Feels like more of a boxing glove in terms of making sure your wrist's a bit more secure. It does obviously have a bit of flexibility because you can use this for different martial arts, but yeah, this one for me just does a bit of a better job in my opinion. And then finally guys, the last pro is that it's slightly cheaper than things like the Impacts and the Giants. If not, and this is a matter of opinion, I think it's better than the Elites in that case. If I had to pick, you know, those are the three main gloves people pick, are the Giants, the Impacts, and the Elites in most cases. And what I see in the gym, no, those are the three main gloves people buy off Venum. And maybe and obviously the most cheapest one is the Challenger. But if you're going to be picking one of the gloves, I highly recommend you pick this one or maybe the Giants. For me, if you're doing different mixed martial arts, maybe you prefer the Elites. But for me, I think the Impacts are just an all-round better glove, especially if you're just going to be concentrating on things like striking on the heavy bag, sparring, double end bag and stuff like that, and not worrying about clenching and kicks and stuff. As always guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hopefully gave you a bit more insight in terms of the Impact gloves. And yeah, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Really helps out the channel. Really appreciate all the support. And if you've got any requests for a review, make sure to comment below, let me know. I might consider buying it and I can review it one day. As always guys, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.